He is. Reject takeoff because of stupid frickin' AI traffic. Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to our Circadian Rhythm Killer Tour. You may recall our last flight was a very short one, especially for this tour. It was a short 200 and something nautical mile hop from Amsterdam over here to Frankfurt, Maine. Now today we are going to be flying this beautiful PMDG 777 from KLM, and we're going to be flying from Frankfurt all the way down to Kuala Lumpur. Now this is actually technically scheduled as a Malaysian Airlines flight. I don't know whether or not KLM flies this, but we're going to fly it with KLM anyway, mostly because I just love the way this airplane looks. So you might notice that things are looking a little crisper and whatnot in the sim. I actually changed the resolution of my screen, and I did that in an effort to try and record in VR, but the VR recording was just a very complicated process and it just didn't look that good on the outcome, so I'm gonna have to keep trying to figure that out. But the screen resolution looks really good, so I hope that you guys enjoy that, and I hope that you enjoy the flight. So without further ado, what do you say we climb up into the office, get some paperwork taken care of, and get this show on the airways? Yeah, we'll go with that. Alrighty folks, as always, first things first, let's take a look at our Sim Toolkit Pro and our flight plan. So you can see that the text looks much smaller. That's because of this resolution. It's still readable, just not, so it might be a little harder for some of you to see. I do apologize for that, but the resolution that you get in the sim, just showing you again, you can just see it's so much crisper and cleaner looking in here, and I really like it. So, and it's also improved the frame rates a good little bit, so we're gonna stick with it. And I'm reading this to you anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So there it is, Frankfurt out to Kuala Lumpur. It is a 5,283 nautical mile flight. It is nowhere near being our longest flight, but it is longer than the trip we made over to Amsterdam from Phoenix, so that's good. It's going to take us a little over 11 hours. We're looking at 167,676 pounds of fuel. Yes, I kept it in pounds. My brain does not like kilograms. It's just the way it is. So bear with me on that. Anyway, final reserve fuel is 6,130 pounds. And our block fuel is 190,864 pounds. And I think we got just a shade more than that. Like we got like 3 pounds extra or something. Coming down here, we're looking at 11 hours, 15 minutes total time, and a small amount of cargo. It's really more than that, but between the cargo and the passengers, we're looking at a total payload of 73,400 pounds, zero fuel weight of 417,700 pounds, and our takeoff weight is 607,100 pounds. Now, like I said, I tried to record this earlier in VR, and I got to tell you, this plane took off like an absolute champ, despite it being quite heavy. So we should have a good time with that as well. So that takes care of that. We'll throw this back on the other screen over here, and let's start taking a look at our pre-flight checklist. Block fuel is loaded and verified. Payload is loading and verified. Parking brake needs to be set. That's this guy down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that parking brake, and then I'm going to go over here and I am going to start my ACARS, because I think otherwise I'll forget. I do want to change the flight level on that, 390, and everything else looks good. Start the flight, and there we have it. So, okay, moving on. Battery switch needs to be on, which it already is. We're in a long turn state is what we're in. So the battery switch is on. Primary flight computers auto and guarded. Thrust asymmetry compensation is in the auto. APU gen switch is on. IFE passenger seats and cabin utility are both on. That's these two right here. Left and right bus tie switches both in the auto position. Left tie, right tie, or bus tie. Backup generator switches are on. These two in the middle. And APU selector switch, we're going to leave that off for the moment. Nav light does need to be on, however. Logo light we don't need. Cockpit lights we don't need. Emergency exit lights we do need. Somebody just commented on one of my videos that had actually just released today that the emergency exit lights has nothing to do with arming the emergency exits. And I kind of suspected that to be the case anyway. It's the cabin crew that arms the emergency exits and then lets you know that it's done. So for that checklist item, we'll continue to just do emergency lights because that's all we can really do from up here anyway. Alright, moving on. Left and right pack control switches both need to go to auto. That's these two way over here. And then the Aorous needs to go on. And that'll take us up to our FMC initialization. Alright, so jumping down here to our FMC, we want to make sure we got the correct model and AirX cycle on here, engine rating, all of that good stuff. Move on over to your position initialization page, type in EHAM, put that in the reference airport, go to the next page, grab one of these GPS positions. Remember to just verify. So these are 5003 and 0835. You just want to make sure that those are close to what we get for EHAM. Right now this is a big airport too, so see that says 5003 and 0835, but EHAM is 5218 0445. That's not even close, right? So I don't like that at all. Let's see, what do we got here? Yeah, those are all saying that for some reason. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to grab the reference here and I'm going to stick that in there. Enter, and I just did that. Oh, it's just still telling me, right? Does it not like that or something? That's interesting. Like, that's kind of weird, right? So this is saying our last GPS position at 12:15 Zulu, and right now it is what? We don't have a clock on here until we finish the alignment. That's interesting. So I don't think it aligned it, to be honest with you. I really don't. Because usually that goes away, right? But it doesn't like that one for some reason. Even though that's for the airport, I mean, we're talking, that's not a small distance there, right? What happens if I grab that one and put it in there? See, that immediately took that one. Boy, I hope that doesn't throw off our inertial position. I don't know why those are as different as they are. I mean, so you're talking, now I'm trying to think my lat long navigation stuff. I mean, we're talking a difference of 2 degrees here. And we're talking a difference of 15 minutes. That's a pretty big difference there, right? I don't know. You guys tell me. We're going to find out when we get in the air, aren't we? Let's go ahead and do a route request. It's going to be in the NGX folder because I accidentally put it in there. So that's nice. We can still grab it from there. So we just wait for the request to go through. Still kind of like that's gnawing in the back of my mind, that whole inertial position thing. It just doesn't seem like it's set right, does it? Guess we're gonna find out in a minute. Alright, let's go ahead and load it. There it is, loading in. Should give us an activate here in a minute. Maybe. Maybe not. Ah, there it is. Activate. Execute. It is going to be KLM2102. There we go. Go to performance initialization. The request has already been sent. There we go. And we'll accept that. And we'll move on. Wind data, we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So we are going to do a derated takeoff and a derated climb. Because, trust me, it's going to be good to go. Alright. Flaps are going to be 15 on this one. Center of gravity is going to be 30.9. Puts the trim at 3.5. Let's take a look at our departure here. It is the Solus 1F. Let's go all the way down here. So Sulu 1F, there we go, and it's going to be off of 2.5. Can we do 2.5 center? It's closer. It's still 13. Yeah, it's the exact same length on the runway. We'll do 2.5 center on that one. I like it better. It'll be easier for the taxi too. And then back over here to the takeoff page, and we got our V-speeds 149, 153, and 160. That's going to work out nicely for us. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes care of the initialization of the FMC. Alrighty, folks, let's continue to press on here with our cockpit preparation. The window heat up top here needs to be on, and that is, where is it at? Right here. I don't know why I couldn't find the window heat all of a sudden. Primary left and right engine hydraulic pump switches should be on. Then the C1 and C2 pump switches should be off. And then all four of these should be off as well. We can put the passenger signs on. EEC mode switches are normal. That's these two up here. Both start selectors normal as well. Auto start button is on, or switch is on. Both of these guarded and closed and blank. We don't want to arm it, and we want to leave that at the 12 o'clock position. All the fuel pumps can stay off for now. Wing and engine anti-ice auto and or as needed. We'll leave all those on auto. Nav light should be on. All the other lights should be off. Right click that bad boy there, and then if you scroll away, now we can change our little view here so we can just get a good look at all of our indicator lights. You can see they're all on. That's the whole purpose there. And once you're done with that, you can go ahead and left click it, and you're good to go. Moving back up over here, equipment cooling, gas for switch both on, upper and lower research should be on. Flight deck and cabin temp both at 12 o'clock or auto position. Left and right packs auto. Trim air is on. All the isolation valves on. Left, right engine bleeds on with the off lights showing. APU bleed is auto. What else we got here? Pressurization panel auto and auto. Leave that thing at the 12 o'clock position. We've already got the ATIS, but let me give it to you over here real quick. And let's see. Active sky. We are looking at. I'm going to refresh it just to be safe. Alrighty, it is, wind is 260 at 10 knots, clear and visibility okay. QNH is 1011 and no significant weather. So let's flip this over here. So we're already on 1011. I just used the cheat for it. You got to flip this one over too. Even though it syncs them, it doesn't switch that over to hectopascals. So something to keep in mind. The FMC programming is complete. Flight directors can come on. Auto throttles are armed. This guy goes to 165. There we go. And then our altitude can go all the way up to our initial altitude, which, if memory serves, let me just double check. So it shows 230 out to OKG, and then 330 after that. But something about that doesn't seem right to me. A 10,000 foot jump. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go up to 290, and I'm going to let it do the step climbs. It'll auto step climb. I've got that set up because I'm not going to sit here for the entire 11 hours, to be honest with you. I'll sit here for as much of it as I can, but I got to go to work tomorrow. What else we got here? I actually wanted to go down on that. Let's see. LNAV, VNAV can both be armed, and let's take care of our checklist down here really quick. Oxygen is tested and 100%. Flight instruments are set. And that takes us to the before start checklist on there. We don't need that quite yet. What else? Auto brake needs to be set to RTO. Common audio panel is set. We can take care of the TCAS really quick. Let's go ahead and set these guys. 2336. There we go. Test the TCAS. There you go. You see the test is going. Aileron and rudder trim are both at 0. And that brings us to our taxi and departure briefing.
TCAS test pass.
Already taking a look at our taxi chart first. Up here on our briefing strip, ATIS departure on 18.730, delivery on 21.905, and ground on 21.805. Several apron frequencies there. And then we've got for runway 25 left, 119.905, tower That's for the tower, and then radar could be either one of these two frequencies here. It's going to be pretty straightforward for us. We are down here on the end of this terminal, so we will push back. I'll set a custom pushback if I can. I don't know if I can at this point. I don't think I can. So if it'll let me, I'll push back tail right, nose to the left. We'll come right down here to I guess this would just, it says 1, but I guess this would be Lima 1 right here, to hold short of runway 25 center. And then looking at our departure here, it's going to be the Solus 1F, Solus, however you say that. And I need to remember to put transition altitude in that FMC. We'll do that as soon as we're done here. So on departure, climb until you get at or above 800 feet, or 1.5 nautical miles from FRD, or 4.5 nautical miles from FFM, whichever is later. Whichever one of these is the latest. Then you make your left turn to 117 degrees, at or above 2,500 feet at whatever waypoint this is supposed to be here. It doesn't actually have a name apparently. And then 210 knots is your max there until you're established on the 117 track, right? And then you take that out to Amtix, little left to Cindy, out to Gibsa, then another left out to the Wurzburg VOR, and then another slight left out to Solus, and then on course from there. Initial climb clearance is to 5,000. We're going to assume clearance all the way up from there, but we'll see how it goes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your taxi and departure briefing. Now, I do want to get over here. I do want to set the transition altitude in the FMC here. Go to the VNAV. Forecast is what I'm looking for. See, it's got it at 18. We want it at 5,000. There we go. And then it says the request was sent, so we're just waiting for that. We'll wait for that to load in because we didn't load it yet anyway. Maybe. Or maybe we should request it again. Let's request it again. No? It's just being slow? I don't know. I'm not going to mess with it all day. We're not ready to descend yet anyway. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to bring us all the way up to our before push and start procedures. Alrighty folks, we got all the passengers loaded, the cargo's loaded. Let's go ahead and close up these doors really quick and we can press on from there. Close, close, next page. Close, close, and close. And then you got to go back here and arm these two. Oh, I forgot about this third one down here. I'd have all three open because I can't use the jetways because GSX is greedy. Alright, let's go back here. Let's go to ground connections. We do need to get that APU started. Should have fired that up a minute ago before I came on, but I didn't. So it is what it is. Let's go ahead and turn these fuel pumps on because we're going to be needing them here in a few minutes anyway. Alright. And let's see, doors, let's check those. They're all closed and armed. That's fantastic. Is the APU spinning up yet? Nope, waiting on that to get going. There it goes. Let's take a look at this checklist really quick. Hop down here. Flight deck door is closed and locked. MCP V2 is set to 165. We haven't set the heading yet. Altitude is set to flight level 290. Takeoff speeds, V1 is 149, VR is 153, and V2 is 160. CDU pre-flight is complete. Trim is not set yet because we don't have our hydraulics, and the taxi and takeoff briefing has been completed. So all we got to do is jump up here, flip on the beacon. That'll take care of that checklist, and we can close that one out. There we go. That's our before taxi, which will take place after we push back here. See if that APU is up and running. It is. Fantastic. Put that on the engines page. Jump up here and make sure that our external power goes off. And then we can come back down here and we can disconnect those. Disconnect, disconnect, and we can disconnect the chocks as well. Let's go ahead and return that. And let's ask for push. See what these guys say here. And return to main menu, FMC, go to the legs page here. Alright, what else we got? Jumping back up top. Right electric demand hydraulic pump selector goes to auto. And then it's the primary C1 and C2 hydraulic pump switches, which is these two. Go to auto. And then left, and then these two here. And then we're good to go.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Fantastic. So wait, left and right fuel pump switches are all on, and the center pump switch is on as well. Not sure why that one's still showing a pressure light. We should have, I mean, we should be good in fuel across the board, right? Fuel.
Looking here.
Yeah, that's interesting. That has something to do with the crossfeed, maybe. I'm not sure on that one. I've never seen that before. You know what? Real quick, let's just go down here and let's make sure there's no maintenance issues that need to be taken care of. It's not that one. I think it's this one. FS actions, ground maintenance. Those should all be good. Yeah, there's nothing on there that should have anything to do with that, right? We want the nose left, tail right.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Yeah, I mean this all has to do with the service-based failures, and none of those are applicable to this with the fuel. So not really sure what that's all about. I'll release it in a minute. You just hold your horses. I'm gonna turn both the centers off for the moment, and we'll just give it a minute and see what happens. We got anything else here? Seatbelt signs are on. We need to push the recall switch. And fuel in center. Yes, I know there's fuel in the center. I just don't understand why. Let's see what happens. Alright, parking brake's coming off. Quit your complaining.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with engine number 1 on this one. So it's way up here. Left click it. And then as soon as you see the N2 coming up, which we do right there, you go ahead and left click this guy, and there you go. And I'm just curious, the fuel thing is strange to me. Why is this one not working? Crossfeed maybe? Let's turn the crossfeed on and see if that helps. I've never had that issue before, so, and I'm not getting a non-normal checklist warning, so I don't really know. And let me just go over here and make sure my ACARS is running properly. It is. Fantastic. I'm looking at the map on STKP Sim Toolkit Pro over here, and there's somebody else that was parked at the gate right next to me. Kind of cool. Alright, so that's engine number 1 started. Let's go ahead and take care of engine number 2. Yeah, see, the pressure light went out now. So was that a crossfeed issue or what? There's the N2 coming up. Bring in the fuel. Yep, see, it's good to go now. So, but it's not going up here for some reason. Why is that? So with the crossfeed, it should still evenly distribute the fuel. Maybe it's just because because the engines weren't started. Let's see if it changes once the engines are done starting up here.
Set parking brake.
Well, that just came to a sudden halt, didn't it? Yep, see, look at that.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
So is it right to leave the crossfeed on or to turn it off, do you think? I don't know. I haven't dug into the manual in quite a while, so I couldn't say for sure. Alright, let's give them a good engine start here. They can start disconnecting. And let's jump back over here and put that on the checklist for now. Let's take a look at our checklist over here. Let's see, left and right generator control switches should be on and the lights off, which they are. And what else here? APU selector switch can go off now. Fantastic. Engine start selectors are both normal. Left and right pack control switches auto and lights off. So sometimes you have to recycle those.
Disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
What is that? Was that the reflection from him backing out? I think it was. So if you cycle these, a lot of times it'll get rid of that pressure light, but it usually goes away in a minute anyway, so we'll check on it. Left, center, right isolation valve switches all on auto, lights off. Engine bleed air switches on and lights off. Flaps need to be set to 15. That should be 15 right there. Probably see it better from over here, huh? Yeah, there you go. 15 and 15. Fantastic. That's what we want. What else we got here? Oh, I got an itch on my foot. That's what I got. Stabilizer trim needs to be set, so this is the one.
Left is clear,
We're
right
going to
is
check
clear.
flight controls as well. So trim needs to be 3.5. There we go. And then flight control check, full left and full right. And neutral all the way up, all the way down. And neutral, and then full left on the rudder, full right on the rudder, and neutral. Fantastic. Flight control check is complete. I'll put that back on the checklist for the moment. Recall switch needs to be pressed. TCAS will still be off. That makes sense. And then wing and engine anti-ice auto as needed. Taxi light will come on here. We can go ahead and turn that on right now. We'll turn on the runway turn-off lights and the taxi light. And let's take care of this checklist down here. So before taxi, anti-ice is all set to auto. Recall has been checked. Auto brake is RTO. Flight controls have been checked. Ground equipment is clear. And before takeoff checklist is also complete because the flaps are set to 15. Let's put this back on the engine page. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a turkey's tail, and we will taxi out and get out of here. Alright, we just got the notification that the cabin is ready. Track car coming on a little jump. That was the tiniest jump I think we've ever had. Fantastic. Alright, parking brake coming off here. Lights are on. Let's go ahead and start taxiing out. And we need to go kind of back that way. I don't like where they put us. You know what? We'll go up here. It looks like a couple of these planes are sitting on the taxiway. Now, when I was doing this a little bit earlier, I gotta tell you guys, the difference in the feel of the aircraft, and it is a feel, it kind of, I mean, it's visual because you still don't have feel when you're flying in VR, and that's what I'm talking about right now, is VR. But still, there's that sense of, see, that's a parking space there, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I don't care for that at all. That's going to be obnoxious. What we need to do here is, oh my goodness, these are parking spaces. We need to go up here to November 1. I thought they were going to push us back a little bit further, so I thought we'd be able to just make a left and off we would go, but it's not going to work. So anyway, what I was getting at is, you know, you have that sense of height, right? So like right now, you know, it looks how it looks, but you feel like you're like way up here when you're in VR. It's just such a big difference. It really is. If you get an opportunity, you know, the downside to VR, I have an older VR headset, and so the downside to that is that it's not the really nice crisp quality like you see right now. It's a little more like an old television is what it is. So it can be like it's a little hard to read your displays and stuff like that. I don't know if there's any like 4K VR headsets out there. If there are, they're probably super expensive. But if there are, I would probably still be interested in them, to be honest with you, because it's so cool to fly in VR, but it is a little hard to see. And like I said, I was trying to do a record. I was trying to record this flight. I actually got all the way to departure and got it up in the air, but it's so difficult to do the recording, and that in itself isn't the major issue, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't mind putting in the effort to do it. The bigger issue is not the difficulty in recording, but the quality of the recording. I just don't think the quality's there. I have to use OBS, and I have to do all kinds of crazy stuff with it to try and get it to work, and it's just not cutting it. That's what it boils down to. It's just not cutting it. So we're gonna stick with Track IR for now, and maybe one of these days there will be a more effective and efficient way to record in VR. And quite frankly, I'd prefer to have a like an HD VR system, like 4K or even just 1080p, just because this is 1080p. Well, so I've basically forced my screen to 4K, but the upload, I think the upload has to be, in fact, I think the best that I can render right now is 1080p, unless I want to buy a new what do you call it, video compiler or a video editing tool. So I can't really render in 4K right now anyway, but my screen is 4K. That's the skinny on that. Track hour coming off. Alright, we're holding short of the runway here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our before takeoff checklist. Landing lights. Actually, real quick, let's come down here and get TCAS on. And let's push our traffic button here, and that'll let us know do we got anybody inbound. It doesn't look like it. Zoom it out just a little just in case we do not. So that's good. So let's get the landing lights on here. And let's get those strobe lights on there. And what else? Auto throttle is armed. LNAV and VNAV are both armed. We need to start the clock. I forget to do that all the time. And the transponder mode is the TARA. Let's start pulling out. Track IR coming back on. And away we go. See that aircraft show up all of a sudden? Okay, I didn't know where he was going. He just showed up all of a sudden. He wasn't there before. Alrighty. I don't know where he's landing. What runway is he landing on? Goodness gracious. Alright, I think we're good now. I considered getting, I think I mentioned it already, I considered picking up the Aerosoft Frankfurt airport. They got the version 2 out, but it's $35 and I don't know how much I'm going to fly. Eventually I want to fly into this airport more. I want to fly all over Europe, you know, England, Germany, Switzerland, wherever. I want to get around a little bit more. You know, we've been doing a lot of flying in the US and that's all well and good, but we need to get some more flying overseas. That's only fair to you guys. And besides, what fun is it to always just fly to the same exact places? Right? Even real world pilots, most of them, they want to eventually get to some international flights and stuff. So that's what I really want to start doing. But I don't know that I want to drop $35 on a new scenery that is probably not going to get used all that much. That looks good there. Let's swing her around. Because we're doing a derated takeoff, I still want to use as much runway as I can. And the best way to do that is to swing it in nice and tight. Looks like we overshot it just a hair maybe. That's alright, we'll cut her back just a little bit, and look at that. That's not that bad actually for a lineup. Now my only concern is whether or not that guy is going to decide to taxi across the runway as soon as I start my takeoff roll. It doesn't look like it, he's still sitting there, so let's go ahead and let's go for it. Let those engines come up and stabilize a little bit. There we go, release the brakes and thrust ref. Hands stay on the throttles. Is he moving? I'm gonna be pissed if he moves. Airspeed's alive. Can't tell if he's moving. There's 80 knots. He is. Reject takeoff because of stupid frickin' AI traffic. Wow, now our brakes are going to be heated. We've burned up fuel that we didn't want to burn because retards sat there and waited until we started our takeoff roll. That's absolutely awesome. Way to go there, dum-dum. You know, for all the things I love about AI traffic, there's just as many things I hate about it. I don't want to turn my landing lights off. I want to shine them in his face. Turn that strobe light off as well. And I'll be back when we're back at the other end of the runway. Alright, so we're staring at a couple of problems here that we're going to take care of real quick. Number one, the traffic isn't showing up on TCAS until it's pretty much right on top of us, which is, I'm not really sure why that is. Obviously you would rely on ATC anyway, but for the most part our approach path is clear. However, problem number two is this. Brakes are overheated, which isn't surprising considering we're very heavy and we had to do a rejected takeoff. But if we go to menu, FS actions, and ground maintenance, we should be able to cool the brakes. So let's see how this works. I've never done it before. Hey, look at that, it cools them instantly. We could even replace them if we want to, but we wouldn't do it out here. So now I don't know if they ever call somebody out to cool off the brakes after an RTO. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but that's what we did there. So let's put this back on the engines page here. Let's take a look at our before takeoff checklist again. Landing lights need to come on. That idiot's probably going to pull out across the runway as soon as we pull out there, isn't he? Strobe light's going to come on. Let's double check that approach path, make sure it's clear. I don't see anybody coming, so that's good. Of course, somebody's going to cross that runway. I might have to just clear traffic off. We're going to leave the clock running because the time counts. LNAV and VNAV are both armed. Auto throttles are turned back on. Let's cycle the flight directors really quick, just to be safe. There we go. And transponder mode is still on TARA. So let's go ahead and start moving forward. Track hour coming on. Little jump. There it is. I don't know what it is with this AI traffic. If he starts moving and pulls out on this runway while we're out here, then I'm going to turn the AI traffic off for departure. Because that's just ridiculous. Like, absolutely stupid. I have no idea why that aircraft would just sit there off the side of the runway down there, and then as soon as we start our takeoff roll, or shortly after we start our takeoff roll, guess what? He starts going. Big surprise, right? Well, gave us an opportunity to perform an RTO, which is something we don't do very often, and it's good to have stuff like that on occasion, right? Not in the real world, you wouldn't want that, you never want that, but it's good for the channel, it's good for us for practice. And you guys know me, there was a time not that long ago I'd have just blown right through them. I'd have been like, alright, you're lost, buddy. Trying to do things right, that's all, trying to do things right. Let's get her out here and swing her around a little bit more. There we go. I think that's going to look pretty good. It did delete our takeoff speeds. I went and put those back in already.
On runway 25, run.
Yeah, we overshot it. Yeah, or undercut it just a little bit. Alright, there's no aircraft holding short. Let's get going before that idiot gets all the way over to the runway and decides to pull out in front of us. Thrust coming up. And release the brakes, thrust ref. Hands on the throttles. Let her kind of drift over to the center of the runway here. Alright, there we go. Airspeed's alive, there's 80 knots. Oh yeah, we're good. Even with a derated takeoff.
Rotate.
V1.
B2.
Rotate.
There we go. Positive rate of climb. Gear coming up. There we go. Coming up on that 800 foot mark. Past that 800 foot mark. Look at that sucker wants to climb, doesn't it?
Gear up.
Now earlier when I did this, my LNAV and VNAV aren't armed anymore. There it goes. Alright, let's go to flaps 5. Bring that nose down a little bit. Not too shabby so far. Swing her up around the corner here a little bit, and then we'll put the autopilot on and take care of a little business, and we'll be done. Back into that turn full bore there. Watch out the nose doesn't dive on you. Likes to do that. There it goes. Trying to dive down a little bit. Just kind of pull her back. You can trim it up, but just keep in mind that if you trim the nose up as you're going through this turn, what's going to end up happening as you come out of the turn, it's going to want to climb really fast. You're going to have to trim that nose back down. So just something to keep in mind. If you got a really long turn to execute, I highly recommend trimming it. but if you don't have a super long turn like we don't in this case, then you can just hold the yoke and just kind of balance it around the corner. Your call. Do whatever you want. There we go. Looking pretty good. Getting a little better at following the flight director. I'm still off just a little bit. Trim that nose down just a hair. There we go. Want that speed to come up a little bit. And let's go ahead and turn the autopilot on. There we go. Bring this out a little bit. I forgot to turn the weather radar on before we departed. Track hour coming off, little jump. There we go. Now you're supposed to turn the weather radar on no matter what. That's why. So even though, you know, it's pretty good weather here, still turn the weather radar on. Alright, let's go, just about ready to go to flaps 1 here. Just want to get past that little flaps 1 marker. There we go. Flaps coming up to 1. And then same thing, we want to just get past that flaps up marker. And once we do, we can bring the flaps all the way up. Almost there, looking good. And flaps coming all the way up now. Alright, we'll be holding 250 knots for about another 1,000 feet here. Should take us a little less than 30 seconds to get up over 10,000. Just let her do her climb here real quick. You can see we're climbing quite fast right now. So, coming up on 10,000. And let's go ahead and get these lights off. Now here's one for you. We set transition altitude as 5,000 feet. So why is it not giving us that yellow indicator on there? Right? If we go to VNAV, page 3, forecast, transition altitude 5,000 feet. Should also be on our performance page, right? Is it performance? I always forget. Well, either way, we're beyond transition altitude, so there you have it. Put that on the progress page, and we're on standard. Now, let's take care of this after takeoff checklist really quick. Landing gear is up, auto brake is off, landing lights are off, seatbelt signs will stay on for now, transition altitude is set standard, and the flaps are up. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that's right, it's time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, we're about 140 nautical miles from top of descent, and not only do we have some work to do, but we actually have a lot of work to do, and I'm going to show you why here in just a second. But first, let's take a quick look at our descent checklist. So for the FMC, we're going to be dealing with that here in just a minute. We do want to make sure that our altitude is set. So our altitude, we're going to set all the way down to 4,000 feet, and I'll show you why again here in just a minute. Alright. Transition altitude, we're going to be setting the QNH, which at the moment, let me double check it over here. Well, we'll check it in a little bit. We're not worried about it right now because transition altitude is 13,000 feet, which I did set. We do want to push the recall switch, make sure nothing comes up. It doesn't. Auto brake as required. I forgot to look at the length of our runway. Let me check it real quick. Oh, we got more runway than we'll even know what to do with. So we're not going to really need any auto brake. Do they always use the auto brakes? I mean, is that like a thing where it's you're going to use it no matter what? I don't think they do. I don't see why they would. We got 13,000 feet of runway. We're not heavy anymore. We burned off a ton of fuel on this 11-hour trip. So I'm not going to use it right now. And then the landing VREF and all that stuff, and then the approach briefing. So what I'm going to do right now, I set it to 4,000 so it'll start the descent. I want to go over the arrival and the approach briefing, and then I'm going to show you what we got to do to set this up. All right, so let's do that. Okay, starting with our arrival. Okay, we're going to be taking the Dacus 1 Victor arrival, which is this guy right here. There's nothing here. It's this one waypoint, and then on the 339 degree radial, you know, inbound to the VOR. That's it. That's the whole arrival, other than the altitude restrictions or altitude requirements based on which runways you're using. Now we're going to be using runway 32 right, so we need to be at or below 25,000 at Dacus. That's it. All right, and then there's nothing else to our arrival. So hold on. Okay. So we got cross 10,000 at 250 knots. Speed restriction is going to be a big deal unless ATC tells us otherwise. We got to be 250 at or below 250 knots. No, it just says let's see. Follow speed restrictions unless instructed to maintain high speed or no ATC speed restriction. So over the VOR it says at 230 knots and at or above 6,000 feet. We're not taking that. We're not going straight to the VOR because there's nothing beyond this. So let's take a look. You can see up here transition levels, flight level 130. All right. Arrival on ATIS arrivals on 128.050 and the airport's at 69 feet. All right. Now let's take a look at the approach. It's the ILS runway 32 right approach. ATIS on 28.050. Radar on any one of these three, we would be assigned it, right? Tower for us is going to be 18.8. Ground on 21.650. Localizer frequency is 109.10. Note I added the 0 there. I did that intentionally. You'll see why. Final approach course at 326 degrees. Glide slope intercept at 4,000 feet at 12.3 nautical miles from IER, right? Which IER is the ILS system, right? Decision altitude 300 feet. Again, airport elevation 69 feet. For a missed approach, proceed on track 326, climbing to 5,500 feet, and then at 4 nautical miles from VKL, which is the Kuala Lumpur VOR, you're going to make a right turn to 340 degrees, and then at distance 10 nautical miles from VKL, you're going to turn right again, maximum of 230 knots to heading 105, and then direct to Ermec holding pattern as directed by ATC, and this is the Ermec holding pattern. Okay, so you see that that's going to be a little crazy. It's going to be even crazier when I show you what we got to do to set that up. Now this says transition altitude is 11,000 feet, so we're going to have to change that, and I'll show you how to do that because I'm finally remembering how to do it properly each time. So we're going to come in over here. Actually, let me go back real quick. So what I did is I set it up, and you'll see I set it up for us to go from Dacus to SAPAT, and then from SAPAT we're going to come over here to Munyov, then KK406, KK408, then ANSOP, and then we were able to put in FI32R, which is our initial approach fix and our glide slope intercept, right? Or our or it's just our glide slope intercepts. 12.3 nautical miles from IER, and that's going to be our glide slope intercept. And you can see that right here. PAPI lights on both sides of the runway if the sim put them in properly. We don't have an add-on airport for this. And then ILS decision altitude is 300 feet. Alright, you guys got all that? Okay, keep that in mind, because here's the issue. Let's go down here to our FMC. Click on departure arrival. None. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Zero. Zilch. Now, Kuala Lumpur is a huge airport, right? Pretty sure this one's a big airport. It's Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Sepang. Sepang? However you say it. How does this FMC not have any of the, wait for it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 arrivals? But wait, there's more. They don't have any of the numerous approaches to this airport. What the heck is going on here? This isn't the first time I've run into this. This is a problem I run into flying over in Asia quite a bit, actually. So I don't know why it's like that. But we have a workaround. Fret not, my friends. Alright, here's what we're going to do. DACUS, I put in SAPAT, I put in Munov, I put in KK406, I put in KK408, I put in ANSOP, I put in FI32 right. We're actually going to get rid of this. I forget, how do you create a... oh, let's just go delete this one. There we go. And then delete this one. And I'll show you why we're deleting those here. Because I want a route discontinuity here. I need a route discontinuity here because this is our final approach fix and our glide slope intercept, and then everything we're going to put in right now is going to be our missed approach information. So we already talked about this stuff. We showed it to you. We talked about the missed approach. Now, because there's no departures, there's no runways either. It doesn't give us anything, right? There's no option available. I don't understand that, and I don't like it. Okay, but what we've done is we've gone ahead and plugged in the legs that we need to get onto the approach, and then if you go to nav radio, we've put in 109.10. Okay, you could even go 100 and then /326. Whether or not that's going to work, I honestly have no idea. Alright, so what we want to do now, ideally, is program our missed approach. Here's why I want to program our missed approach. There's a couple of reasons. One, it just makes it easier, plain and simple. Okay, we could go to nav radio and we could make sure the VOR is tuned to VKL, which is 116.10, okay, and then we could just fly the distances off of that. And you can do that. If you come up here and you change this to VOR, alright, it's going to give you distance information from the VOR, right? So right now it's tuned to VIH, okay, which is 117.30, right? And you can see the left side VOR is VIH, and the DME shows us 76.6. Now there's no course put in here, right? So that's why it's not showing a course on here. If we were to tune the ILS in here, it wouldn't pick it up right now anyway. We're too far out. But the point is we could just switch to this mode and we could fly that missed approach in accordance with what it says. So we could set our heading and just fly 326. We could even fly it by hand. Fly 326 until our DME here says we're at 4.0 from VKL. Then we could turn right to 340. And then when this says we're at 10 nautical miles from VKL, we can turn right again, and so on. Okay, we can do that. It is possible, but it's also possible to program it in here a little bit, and so that's what I want to do here. All right, so let's go back to our legs page, go back to the end here, and I'm going to see if it'll let me put a discontinuity intentionally. I've never tried this before, okay, but initially we're going to climb 326 to 4.0 from VKL. Well, I need VKL in there to make this work, okay? And in fact, this will be really easy. I don't need to put in a discontinuity. Watch this. I'm going to put VKL. We know it's 116.0, so I'm going to take that one and I'm going to execute it. Now I'm going to build off of this. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to say 326 degrees / 4 nautical miles, okay? It's still the same VOR. So there we go. And if I execute that and I look on here, let's put this on the plan page and zoom it way down here. Okay, so we'll zoom it up one more from that. Okay, you can see this is us coming around for the approach here. And as we step around, there's our final approach fix right there. Okay, now I gotta zoom it out actually. So you remember that's 12 nautical miles out, that final approach fix, right? And then you got VKL over here. Notice this, it's not even showing the runway. Like, this is what bothers me, right? So where does it show the runway on here? Or the airport? It just shows the airport up here. It doesn't even show a runway. But VKL we know is supposed to be just before the runway that we're landing on, right? So you use VKL as your reference, and then VKL02 is the custom waypoint we made. That's 4 nautical miles from VKL. Okay, what's next on the missed approach? We turn right to 340. Okay, and then at 10 nautical miles from VKL, we're going to turn right again. So this can get a little tricky. If we select this one and create a new waypoint, so VKL02, okay, and that's already at 3. I don't even think it'll let us. We can try though. So VKL, oh, I'm sorry, let me clear that out. You should still be able to do it. VKL02, and then literally we're just going to put in 340, right? And then slash, and then it says 10 nautical miles out. So we were doing 326, so we could probably just do 6 miles, and I think this will work. We're going to find out here in a second. I haven't tried it yet. Yeah, it's an invalid entry. It doesn't actually surprise me. Okay, but what we could do, and this will work just as well, is what radial is that from? That is 10 nautical miles on the 340 degree radial from VKL. So we'll just go VKL 340 radial 10 nautical miles, and we'll put that in there. Okay, same VOR. So see how that puts that in there, and then from there we're supposed to make a right turn to 105 degrees to Ermek. So if I just put in Ermek, which is a waypoint that's on here, IRMEK. See, this is taking a while, right? Put that in there. That's where it goes. Execute that. Now, we don't actually need VKL as a waypoint. It's not a waypoint for us. It's just the VOR, and we used it to build those other waypoints. So I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to leave that discontinuity so that the aircraft doesn't decide to try and start climbing before I need it to. Now, we're supposed to climb to 5,500. We need to be at 5,500 by the time we get to Ermek, right? It doesn't say any other time we have to be at 5,500. So if we go to Ermek, put in slash 5,500, and put that right here. Well, what do you mean invalid entry? How's that invalid? Slash 5,500. That should work. I don't understand why that's an invalid entry, to be honest with you. Let's see, the speed is 230 knots. Let's try doing both. 230 slash 5,500. Nope. There we go. That's not going to take it for some reason, and I don't understand why. But it should take it, right? Maybe it's not taking it because it's above our previous altitude. It'd be a climb from here. I don't know. The point is, we got the waypoints in there now, right? So that's kind of how we have to set it up. So back over on our nav radio, we've got that set to the ILS now, and to be quite frank with you, I've never had to do this before, so I don't know if it's going to work. We might just have to, you know, the visibility should be good enough that we can fly it by hand, and that may be what we have to do. Now, go to your VNav, go to page 3, click on forecast, and change this to 11,000. Because that's transition altitude at the airfield, right? So that's what we want there, 11,000. And then, let's see, what's our descent speed restriction? 240 once we get below 10,000. And that's pretty much it. We're good to go on all of that. Now, one other thing you could do is you could add up the distance. So you could say from ANSOP to the missed approach point is let's see, that's 24612.6, right? Yep. That doesn't make sense. No. Hold on. Yeah. because it's another 1.7 from there to the runway. So 12.6 from ANSOP to the missed approach point. So I could even go in here and I could say, okay, let's go to ANSOP, okay, and then go 326 because that's the heading we'll be on, and 12.6, and I want that to go right here. See, it put in another another discontinuity, and I want to keep that there. And that we need to be, that would be our missed approach altitude, or our decision height, right, which is 300 feet. Let's see if it lets me put in 300 feet. It wasn't letting me put in 500 earlier. Let's see if it lets me put that in there. Yeah, it's not going to let me. But it does give us a waypoint in there. So we know at this waypoint here, and it put it, yeah, so at this waypoint here, that's our missed approach waypoint. You can put that in there, but it's not letting me put, oh, you know what? I think it will. Actually, it's at 0300. There we go. Yeah. So that would be our missed approach point there, right? So we can use that to assist us in our descent as well. Alright, so you guys see what I had to do there. It was a lot of work to do all of that. I have absolutely no idea why the departures or the arrivals and the approaches aren't in here. It doesn't make any sense to me. But it is what it is. We have to deal with it. We got some beautiful mountains off to the left hand side there. It should be a nice approach. Hopefully everything will go smoothly. This took a long time to do, so I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to get off of here, and I will see you guys when we're just about set up for this approach. Alrighty guys, we just crossed Saypat and we're turning to Munyov now. You can see we're just about down to 7,000 feet, which is where we need to be at Munyov anyway. I did forget to do the approach reference during the descent brief, but we got to take care of it. So we're going to be flaps 25, 139 knots, and we're going to see how this works. I talked to my friend Joe. He just flew in here yesterday. He's flying in FSX, but he said all of the arrivals and approaches and stuff were in his FMC, so he didn't have any problem with it. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with us, but it is what it is. What else are you gonna say? So that's the second time I've run into that though in the last few days, so that's something I need to look into. I'm gonna try updating my nav data again, even though it's up to date. I'm gonna update it again and just see if maybe that fixes the issue. But yeah, it's a little strange. Not really sure what's going on with that. But anyway, let's take care of our before landing stuff here. So below 10,000 feet, we've got our landing lights on. Speed brakes need to be armed. We may end up needing to use those a little bit coming around here, but just in case. We didn't arm the speed brakes. I really wasn't planning on using them. I don't think we need them. So I'm not going to arm the speed brakes, or I mean the, I'm thinking of the auto brakes, not the speed brakes. Speed brakes are armed. Seatbelt signs are on. Altimeters are set. The QNH is 1009, and we just got the notification that the cabin is ready, so that's fantastic. So let's go ahead and bring our speed down a little bit more here. Go to flaps 5 there, and we'll bring our speed down to just above, well, we'll bring it to 180 knots. I think that'll work nicely. Let's hit the localizer switch and see if it grabs it. So it's armed now, so I want to see if it grabs it as we come around. We did put the frequency in the nav radio, just not sure if it's going to grab it or not. You can see I got the nav radio up over here, so we're going to see how this works out, but we'll give it a shot anyway, right? And of course, wouldn't you know, there's a bunch of low-lying clouds right over the airport. So hopefully the ILS works. If not, we do have our VNAV programmed all the way down to the missed approach altitude. So I guess we'll just see when we get there, huh? But we'll know here shortly, because it'll either grab the ILS or it'll grab the localizer. Well, it just grabbed the localizer. So there you have it. So we can go ahead and hit the approach switch. And once it grabs the glide slope, we need to make sure we put 5500 on here. And we'll stay at 180 for the moment. It should grab the glide slope at about 12, what was it, 12.3 miles out? Yeah, 12.3 nautical miles out. So that's plenty of time, I think, for us to slow down. So, yeah, I think we'll be good to go. Nothing else to do right now except just kind of ride it in and finish setting everything up for the final approach here. Boy, look at those clouds are just sitting right over the airport too. And when I checked the weather a few minutes ago, it was clear. I actually watched those clouds start to roll in. So, just bad timing, I guess. Oh well, what are you gonna do, right? Alright, so we're just waiting on her. You can see that the glide slope is alive. The diamond's moving there just ever so slightly. So we are a little below the glide slope right now, technically. But obviously we're way out here, so we're fine. We'll level off at 4,000 feet and wait for it to grab the glide slope. I think we're going to go ahead and just before we grab the glide slope, we're going to go ahead and slow her down a little bit more. So our approach speed is, well, our VREF is 139, so it's going to be 144 on the approach speed. Coming up on 4,000 feet now. Let's go ahead and slow her down a little bit more. Flaps 10 coming in first, or flaps 15, I'm sorry. And then we can slow her down just a bit more here. 65 I think looks good. And then we'll just hold that until we capture the glide slope. So there you see she's starting to level off. Easy stuff. I was watching a documentary yesterday on that is it Asian Airways, Asiana Airways or something like that, that crashed at San Francisco in 2013 in a 777. What a crazy you know, like sequence of events that led up to that. Just such simple little things too. Should grab the glide slope here any second now. There we go. So let's go ahead and get the gear down. Go to flaps 20 and let's bring that speed all the way down. It's going to be flaps 25, so we'll go ahead and throw that out there now. Oh, come on, the gear's coming down. Stop yelling at me.
Gear down.
Okay, so again, we want to be at 144. So there we go, 144. And let's get a good view here. Track car coming on a little jump. It's got that weird little snap to it, doesn't it? Let me recenter it here. There we go, that's where we're supposed to be. Alright, so for now we can see nothing. So our only option is to ride the ILS down. Let the system do its work. You can switch this to the approach mode if you want. It's always a good time. Zoom it all the way down so you can see this is our localizer indicator, left and right, and this is our glide slope indicator. That's what it's there for. Let's go ahead and set 5,500 on here. Go around altitude is now set. And hopefully we won't need to go around, but we can't see anything right now. I can't take the autopilot off because I can't see. Looks like the ground's starting to appear beneath the clouds there. It did say a few clouds at 800 feet, so we'll see how that works out.
2,500. 2,500.
At least we were able to program it in. I really don't understand why none of those arrivals or approaches are showing up inside the FMC. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Have you guys ever dealt with that? Have any of you ever had that? Because if you have, let me know. I'd definitely be interested in knowing what you did about it, if you were able to fix it, if you know what causes it or what. And I'll try to remember to let you guys know if updating the nav data fixes that issue, because it's just really weird to me. Alright, so coming up on 2,000 feet here. Speed is set. We probably set it a little early. We could have done it a little, you know, we could have waited a little longer to get fully set for the approach. We're going pretty slow now, so it takes quite a bit longer to get there when you go this slow, but yeah, I was a little uncomfortable with the entire approach just because the way things are working out as far as the FMC is concerned. I just don't like that. But what are you going to do? So here we go. We'll just ride her on down. Still can't see the airfield, so we're just riding the ILS. The aircraft will auto land. We should get a notification telling us it'll auto land right here where it says autopilot. That should change to land 3 if it'll auto land. If it won't, we'll have to take the autopilot off at the last second. Oh, there it is, land 3. I'm done talking about it. So it'll auto land if we need it to. I don't think we'll need it to, but you know, we got 1,000 feet until our decision altitude anyway. But we can let it do the full auto land. Although I don't think this runway is actually rated for it. This is just rated for a standard ILS. Can you do an auto land on a standard ILS, or is it supposed to be only Cat 3? That's a good question, isn't it? What does it say on there? Flare and rollout are armed. That's what's in white there. See, it says rollout and flare. So I mean, it will land the entire way itself. I could just make out the runway up there. We'll continue to leave it on autopilot until I have a nice clear view, because why not? I can't really see the PAPI lights very well, so I can see them, and I can just see the approach lights.
Approaching.
So wisdom says let the ILS handle it for the moment. But now it's clearing up. Let's go ahead and take that autopilot off. Alright, we're hand flying now.
400.
Still on the auto throttle. We'll let the auto throttles take it all the way in. Just try to keep that that view you got there out the windscreen. Right? See, it says we're getting just a little high.
300.
There we go. That's where we want to be. You don't want her to nosedive at it though. Continue.
200.
Oh, there's an airplane on the runway. Control Shift T. Go away. I'm so sick of that. I really am.
100.
I know, I shouldn't do that. I didn't. This has been an 11-hour flight.
50, 40, 30, 50, 20, 40, 10, 30.
That was butter, you guys. Minus 89 feet per minute. Yeah, I just didn't feel like dealing with that AI traffic. I really didn't. And it's already been such a long flight. There's 80 knots. Just manual braking now. The AI traffic's really just driving me nuts. It really is. But we cleared it off. I didn't land on top of an airplane, so I need to just make it a habit to just either clear the approach or just clear out all the traffic as I'm on approach, because it's just like when we went to take off for this flight. That airplane was sitting there off the side of the runway for a good 2 minutes, and then we start our takeoff roll, and what do you know? He decides he needs to go ahead and cross that runway. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. It's really obnoxious. I know you guys probably get annoyed by it too. I'm sure you all have dealt with it just as much as I have. Alright, slow her down a little more here. There we go. Get the auto throttles off. Get the flight directors off. APU's been started. Let's take a look at this after landing checklist. Landing lights are off, strobe lights are off, taxi lights are on, APU selector switch is on. And we need to go to the right here, don't we? Let me double check my chart here. Came off, we went to the left. We need to go... Where are we? Excuse me. We need to go left and then left again. That's weird because the chart doesn't show it like this, but okay. I think I know where we're at here. Okay. Excuse me, I don't know what that's all about. Auto brake is off. Let's go ahead and get those spoilers back in the proper position. And let's get those flaps up. Maybe? Yeah, they're coming up. Good. Okay. What else we got here? Speed brakes, flaps, transponder needs to go to standby. Weather radar can go off. Transponder to standby. And while we're going nice and slow here, let's take a look at this after landing checklist. There we go. Jump down here. And that was the approach. Go back to normal. There's landing. That one's good. Go to normal. Oh, normal menu. And yeah, it just takes us to our shutdown checklist. So, okay, we don't need to do anything with that at the moment. And that means I'm going to go ahead and taxi it in real quick, and then I will come back on here. We'll take care of shutting down the aircraft, and we'll wrap up this really long flight. Alrighty guys, GSX getting it done once again. They're saying that there are no spaces anywhere on this airfield that are big enough for our aircraft. Now, considering it is default scenery, that may very well be true in this case, but it's still a little bit obnoxious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up here and we're going to shut down the engines, and then we're going to go ahead and customize this spot for GSX so that we can do a little offloading here. Probably won't be able to connect the jetway, no real surprise there, but it is what it is. And of course this gate clearly doesn't look large enough for this aircraft, but we'll just deal with it. We'll suck it up. So just make sure we're not too close to it there. Looks like we're probably good. Bring her up just a little bit further, right about there. Let's get that parking brake on. There we go. Track IR coming off a little jump. There it is. APU should already be up and running. Let's jump up here and take a peek. It surely is, and we got the notification on the ICUS here as well. It's telling us the APU is running. So let's take a look at our shutdown checklist. I forgot to turn off taxi lights as I pulled in, didn't I? I meant to do that. Like, I seriously meant to do that. With the APU running, let's go ahead and just shut these two down real quick. Oh, hiccup. Hold on, I gotta take a drink. Goodness gracious. Alright, real quick, let's take care of GSX. Customize airport positions. You can just click on the little airplane. Obviously this parking space is not big enough. We're going to put that it doesn't have a jetway, and that way we don't even have to worry about it. We're going to make it a gate heavy, just because. I wonder if that changes the nah, I was going to say I wonder if that changes the jetways, but it doesn't. There's no way. Okay, so let's get passengers unloading here. Request deboarding. Let's go with AirAsia on this one. Alright, and then we'll hop down here and we'll open up some doors for them. So we are going to need, it should be all four of them, right? I think so. I think they, with no jetway, they bring out all four. And then we need the cargo forward, cargo aft, and cargo bulk. And let's finish our shutdown procedures. Taxi light is off, left and right engine fuel control switches are cut off. Seatbelt sign can go off. I haven't done that yet. There we go, and that lets the folks in the back know. And let's see what else here. Beacon light can go off, and nav light stays on, of course. C1, C2 air demand hydraulic pump selectors, that's these two here, go off, and then the left goes off, and then the switches go off, and then the right goes off. That's the order they want you to shut them down in. Left and right fuel pump switches can all go off. Pressure light will come on all, should come on all except the left forward pump, because the APU is running. Flight director switches are already off, and APU selector as needed. So if we hop down here, go back here to ground connections, we can set the wheel chocks, we can connect the ground power, connect the air conditioning unit, and when we jump back up here we can turn the primary ground power on, we can turn the APU off, and that's gonna wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. It was a long flight. Now I know this thing looks very, very small. You might have to look really, really close, but our landing rate was here, let me just make it full screen. No, that doesn't do any good. It's because I changed that that setting on my screen to make it basically appear to show up as 4K. But anyway, it's minus 96.12. Let's stop the flight. The flight was scheduled for 11 hours 55 minutes. We are here in 11 hours 42 minutes and 26 seconds. So all in all, that was a really good flight. File the pirate, make the boys back at the airline jealous of that smooth landing. Yes, I want to exit the program. And that's it, folks. Now, if you haven't had an opportunity, head on over to Mac Air Virtual. Take a look at what we got going on over there, macairvirtual.com, and see if we got something that's for you. We really do have something for everybody, in case you didn't know. We got an open division, fly what you want, when you want, where you want. We've got a cargo division, fly the heavy stuff all around the world. We've got a historic division, fly everything all the way back to your prop liners, Concorde. We've even just put a Concorde tour together. So if you like to fly the Concorde, you can fly it on schedules with us. And we've got a professional division that's very well structured, and the whole thing is just really awesome. And we've got our charter division as well in partnership with Mirage Executive Charters. So we got a lot going on over here. We got a little something for everybody. Give us a look. You're only required to fly one flight. I think it's every 60 days. I think is the rule we put in, one flight every 60 days, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Also, if you haven't had the opportunity, go on over and smash the subscribe button on my channel and click on the little bell so you get notifications when I upload videos. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Lets me know that I'm doing a good job. And if you didn't enjoy it, well, by all means, give it a thumbs down. But please put some constructive yet kind criticism down in the comments so that I can do a better job in the future. That's it. That's all and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all. You guys are fantastic and have an absolutely wonderful day.